How many here are interested in learning about hormonal health? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Are you here, is that topic of particular interest, just out of curiosity? Is that what brought you here, or is it just more, hey, I'm interested in general overall health and wellness? Or
General overall health.
kind of both? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, what is the definition of a hormone? So a hormone is a chemical messenger. So it floats around the body and it has certain effects on the body, right? There are lots of different hormones. There's female reproductive hormones, estrogen, progesterone, there's testosterone, right? There's stress hormones like adrenaline to get you going when you're in a stressful situation. There's cortisol. Adrenaline and cortisol are the two that the adrenal glands make. And cortisol helps you deal with stress. It goes and grabs sugar from your liver that's stored to give you a quick boost of energy to help deal with the stress level. What happens is when you're living in 21st century America, people's cortisol levels are through the roof all the time because everyone's so stressed with everything that we're faced, and that causes its own problems, which we can talk about. But that's what hormones do, is they have an effect on the cells of your body. Everyone has a different effect, but they're extremely important for energy, and how well you live basically is how well your hormonal health is functioning, and specifically your adrenal health. Your adrenals are these little walnut-sized glands that sit on top of your kidneys back here, and they make these stress hormones, and if they're tired, you're going to be tired. If they're functioning well, you're going to be feeling good. If you're stressed all the time at little things, most likely your adrenal glands are not doing their job. Because what I tell patients is if they have a lot of stress and fatigue in their life, once they get on a program with me, usually it just raises their body's ability to deal with that stress. So what used to irritate them or stress them out doesn't, like it did. Okay? So there's a lot of reasons why someone can have hormonal imbalances, but there's 2 to 3 main reasons. Number one, nutritional deficiencies or toxicity. Either your cells in your body are not getting the correct nutrients to produce the hormones that you need, or there's a toxin, a heavy metal, chemical, something like that that could be blocking the ability of your body to produce the hormone. And then also organ dysfunction. So just in general, you can have certain organs that aren't functioning properly, certain glands that make hormones that aren't functioning like they should. But what you're going to find is usually there's a nutritional deficiency or toxicity causing that. So what we do in our clinic is we identify what organs are not functioning, what nutritional deficiencies and toxicities someone has, what might be affecting their immune system as well, and we address that with supplements, herbs, diet, chiropractic care, soft tissue work, etc., and that handles that hormonal issue. Now, how quickly that happens depends on how long you've had the condition, how chronic it is. The definition of a chronic health issue is there's more than one cause to that condition. So, name a chronic health issue. Like arthritis. Okay. So if someone has chronic arthritis, that didn't happen overnight. First thing that probably happened is they weren't getting the nutrients that they needed to feed the joints and the bones properly. Number 2, they could have been eating foods that cause inflammation, too much sugar, too much starch, too much junk in their diet. That could have contributed. What then happens is the circulation to the joint, the arthritic joint that's beginning to get arthritic, that becomes a problem. The blood supply is just not getting there. So you can see it's like multifaceted. Arthritis is definitely a chronic issue because that doesn't happen overnight. But if someone has, I don't know, say they slept 3 hours a night for 2 nights in a row and they were really tired the next day. Okay, is that chronic fatigue? If they normally have generally good energy, it's not chronic fatigue. That's like an acute situation. basically they get a good night's sleep, eat well, and the next day they're feeling better. Okay, but most of the issues and most people that come to see me, it's a chronic issue, and so what we have to identify is, what is causing the hormonal imbalance. What are some other hormonal issues that women have?
Thyroid issues.
Thyroid issues, yes. How about hot flashes? Yeah, hot flashes. Those, I see a lot of patients with hot flashes, and it's usually multifaceted. So
is it always thyroid when you have low energy?
when you have low energy in Northeast Ohio, I find the majority of the time it's the thyroid, but it can also be the adrenal glands or the heart,
Okay.
Cardiovascular. I would say thyroid and adrenals are close, 1 and 2, and it's often both.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just the heart, just not enough nutrition. See, unfortunately, our soil is depleted of most minerals. We just don't, you can eat perfect organic and you're just not going to get the nutrients that you need. That's why I recommend everyone takes whole food supplements. Because when you're taking whole food supplements, you're supplementing what you're not getting. If it was, 1912, then we would be eating organic food grown in our backyards and it would be good stuff, We would probably be rotating our crops and et cetera, et cetera. The whole food supplements that I give my patients, 60% of what's in there is grown in Wisconsin. And it's a 100-acre organic farm and it's the best. I've been there 7 times, I think, over 25 years. Their topsoil is like this thick. It's dark. They took a backhoe and they went next to one because it was always this thing. Some people would say their topsoil was 6 feet deep, and they said, well, it's not 6 feet. Okay, I don't know who said that, but maybe in the very center of the field, it could be 3 feet deep, but it's at least 2 feet deep, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to see that very much, definitely in Northeast Ohio or in California, right? So we just don't get the nutrients that we need, so we have to supplement our diet. That's what I was trying to say. So now, there's one thing also that causes nutritional deficiencies and organ dysfunction, and that is sugar. So how might sugar cause a nutritional deficiency or an organ dysfunction? Anybody?
It replaces real food and there's no nutrition in it.
That's a
It
good,
just-
yeah,
it
right.
just spikes
It's
you
empty.
up and-
It's empty calories. It's empty. Yeah, it just gives you a temporary lift, right? Also, sugar is inflammatory, so it's like it inflames your body. It inflames your joints. It inflames your nerves. If you eat a teaspoon of sugar, it measurably inflates and inflames your liver and your brain. They've done tests, just touching the tongue. Yeah, I mean it's a small amount, but it's measurable. So if you don't get anything else from tonight, the only thing you leave with is sugar's bad. Okay, it's almost as bad as not getting. It's almost better to eat food that isn't quite as nutritionally dense and avoid sugar than to eat perfect, healthy food and eat a lot of sugar. Sugar just creates problems. If every patient cut out sugar, every new patient cut out sugar, which I recommend they do over time, we just get great results. We just get much speedier recoveries with most health issues, especially chronic pain, energy levels, that type of thing. Okay. So now you might be thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to cut out sugar? I love sugar or I'm addicted to sugar. So I'm going to give you 3 tips for sugar cravings. Okay. You guys ever get a little sweet tooth or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So are you ready? These work really, really well. Number 1, pickles. If you can preferably get something like Bubby's pickles, which is a fermented pickle. That fermentation process it balances the pH of the body, And if you eat a pickle at night after dinner, when people, or like mid-afternoon or something like that, wait 10 minutes and see if that sugar craving goes away. Normally it does. Okay, it's a little trick.
Do you have to eat the whole pickle?
You don't have to eat the whole
No.
pickle. I mean, yeah, those Bubby's ones are big.
Yeah.
You know, just like
I was like, that's a lot of pickles.
cut it in fours, you know, and then eat one. You know, regular pickles can do the job too, but you can do the fermented pickle, or you can do just a raw fermented sauerkraut or raw fermented veggies. There's a lot of those sold, especially at Heinen's, they have them. So that's number one. Number two, drink a glass of water and wait 10 minutes. Sometimes it's simple dehydration that can mimic sugar or carb cravings. So the pickles, drink water, and then the third one is eat a serving of animal protein for breakfast and lunch, and dinner if you can. Because animal protein is like a log on the fire. It absorbs slowly in the system. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. It slowly sustains your energy level. Carbs, like bread, pasta, cookies, cakes, candy, that stuff is like kindling on a fire. It's going to start the fire and then, right? When you think about throwing little burnt leaves on the fire, what happens? It goes up in flames and sort of just turns into dust. Okay? So, pickles, water, and protein. Okay? Okay, so now I want to show you what insulin does. Well, what sugar does to a hormone. Kind of gave it away. What's the hormone that the pancreas makes that diabetics lack? Insulin, yeah. So insulin. I want to talk to you about that because understanding insulin is really important, because if you understand insulin, you understand how to eat properly, if you understand the physiology and what it does to your body, and you will also understand how to keep your cholesterol in check. Okay? So, you have this sausage-shaped gland. It's called the pancreas. And the pancreas makes enzymes to help you break down your food, but it also makes insulin. Okay? So, that's going to be an artery. So what happens when you eat a piece of fish and broccoli? Let me tell you what happens physiologically, okay? When you eat a piece of fish and broccoli, it gets digested into the stomach, it passes into the small intestine, and it gets absorbed right into the bloodstream. So, and it gets absorbed slowly, and there's very little sugar in that food, okay? So it's mostly proteins and fats, some carbohydrate in the broccoli, but very little. And so what happens is that insulin that is made by the pancreas, that insulin is required to lower blood sugar. So what it does is it takes sugar, it's like a bridge. It takes sugar in your bloodstream and puts it right into the cell. That's that's one of the main functions of insulin. It lowers blood sugar. When you're eating broccoli with fish, you're not getting much sugar in the bloodstream. So insulin isn't produced very much. So its counterpart, glucagon, is produced. And glucagon is very good for burning fat. It's good for maintaining energy levels. It's good for anything good in the body. That's what it does. Okay? Too much insulin is bad. Okay? And we can get into the list of that. But that's what insulin does. It lowers blood sugar. So let's say you get up in the morning, you eat a bowl of cornflakes, some orange juice, and a grapefruit. And then at lunch you have some pasta with a Coke and some garlic bread. And then you have a Snicker bar mid-afternoon, and then at night, you know, you have grilled cheese with lasagna. Okay? So I'm just kind of joking around here. But what is all that food? It's like high starch carbohydrate, right? So that's going to get broken down into sugar, and so you're going to have tons of sugar in the bloodstream. So some of that sugar is going to go into the cell, but the cell only needs a certain amount of sugar for energy, right? So what's going to happen with the excess sugar? Well, it's going to get stored as what?
Fat.
You're right. That excess sugar gets stored as fat. What caused the excess sugar? Well, we know what caused it, the food. What was lacking? The insulin, okay? So I'm kind of confusing here, but when you eat excessive amounts of sugar and high starch carbohydrates over many, many years, what happens is the insulin in the pancreas will not get produced like it used to. It'll tire out, it'll peter out. And then when you don't have enough insulin, what's going to happen is the sugar is not going to be able to get into the bloodstream. Because remember, insulin is the bridge that causes that sugar to get into the bloodstream. So when you don't have that bridge, you're going to get high blood sugar. And when you get high blood sugar, what is that? What's that disease? Diabetes. Yeah. So you go into the doctor one day. Doctor, I'm gaining weight. I'm not feeling good. I'm thirsty all the time. And they do your blood sugar, and it's 300. Okay, you have diabetes. Well, that can be reversed, especially type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is, you get it sort of as a child, and that's much more tricky to handle. But type 2 diabetes is really a lifestyle situation. It's just from eating too much of the American diet, And I don't know if you guys saw, but they just changed the food pyramid, which is a good thing. They turned it upside down, basically.
Right.
So if you want to keep your insulin levels at bay, you want to eat more protein, vegetables, lower sugar fruits like berries, maybe citrus, that type of thing. And you want to watch out for the high starch carbohydrates and sugars. Okay? So what is a good rule of thumb for the number of carbohydrates that one might eat in a day? Let me tell you. Okay, if you can keep it at about 75 to 100 grams per day, that's going to keep your inflammation down. That's going to help you lose weight. That's going to help you feel better. It's going to give you more energy. Okay, so if you keep it at about 75 to 100 grams, so let's put that into perspective. You could eat 2 pieces of bread, that's about 30 grams. If you ate a banana, that's about 25 grams. And if you ate an apple, that's another 25 grams. So we're right about that 75 gram mark there. So the rest of your food would consist of meat, fish, chicken, eggs, butter, oil, and the low carb veggies like leafy greens, broccoli, the cruciferous vegetables, etc. Okay. So, and then if you have cravings, you just try and drink some water, see if you're dehydrated. Eat a pickle, see if that helps. Or if you just start eating the way I'm recommending with the protein 2 to 3 times a day, that can help.
What are the sweet potatoes?
Sweet potatoes they're kind of in the middle. The good thing about sweet potatoes is they're not a nightshade, and nightshade vegetables are potatoes, peppers, tomatoes. They tend to cause inflammation and joint issues in some people, and they tend to be, potatoes are very high in starch, but sweet potatoes are not quite as high, and they don't have that inflammatory effect. So I consider it a good food. Okay, you still have to count the carbohydrates if you're trying to lose weight, but it's a pretty good carb. Okay. Okay, so any questions on this? Okay, so just erase this and get some more room. Okay. All of your sex or steroid hormones are derived from cholesterol. So hormones originate from cholesterol. Cholesterol is an important ingredient upstream to make hormones. Isn't that amazing?
Mm.
And what are we told about cholesterol?
Just love
It's
it.
evil, right? It's evil. So it's got to be 150 or less if you have any heart issues, blah, blah, blah. So I want to talk about cholesterol too, because what do most people say raises your cholesterol?
Fats.
Fats. Red meat, butter, oils, right? Okay. Wrong. It's not true. It doesn't. You could sit and eat that stuff all day, and unless you have unless you're an anomaly, or, nothing's absolute, but, maybe 10% of the population could get high cholesterol from eating too many eggs, red meat. The majority, no. You get it from causing insulin to be produced in the body. Insulin, aside from lowering blood sugar, it actually causes fat storage, and it causes the body to produce cholesterol. 90% of the cholesterol in your body was made by your own body. It didn't come from eating food that contains cholesterol. It came from eating too much sugar and starch, and it stimulates that insulin production, which stimulates cholesterol production. Okay? The other thing you want to know about cholesterol is, as long as you have a 4 to 5 to 1 ratio of your total cholesterol to your good cholesterol, or HDL cholesterol, then you're doing okay. So if your cholesterol is 275, but your HDL is 80, this is not high cholesterol. Okay? But what is your MD going to tell you? Get on Lipitor, you have high cholesterol.
And the numbers for what they consider bad cholesterol numbers have gone up and up and up, and every time it goes up, they get to sell more medicine.
True.
50 years ago, it was a whole lot higher than
Yeah, it
that.
was like 300. When I first got in
Yeah.
practice, I think it was like 300 was the high 25 years ago at the lab. Now it's 200, So it's the ratio. Now, if you have a 275 cholesterol and your HDL, that's the good cholesterol. No cholesterol is really bad, but that's what people understand it as. Let's just say it was 40. So let's see, 6 times 4 is 240, 7 times 4 is 280. This would be a 6.5 to 1 ratio. Okay. What that means is that's a blood sugar issue. Okay. So we would want to lower this and try and raise this. And there's ways you can do that. Essential fatty acids like flaxseed oil, fish oil can help, exercise. But raising your HDL, it takes time. It's stubborn. Triglycerides, on the other hand, triglycerides are very easy to lower. You just cut down on the carbs, eat the 75 to 100, and you want to get those below 130. If someone has high triglycerides, I already know they're eating too much carbohydrate. And that's an easy thing to fix. The HDL is a little more tricky. And some of this is genetic, and it takes some work, but some of it is, pretty simple. So the takeaway here is, with regard to hormones, is estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those are made from cholesterol. Cholesterol gets converted to blah, which gets converted to blah, which gets converted to blah, which gets converted into blah, which produces testosterone, for example. That's how that works. So we need cholesterol. It's important. I had a patient once, he was a cardiologist. He was on Lipitor, and he came to see me, and he had short-term memory loss. He had forgotten that a week prior, his wife told me this because his wife was a patient, a week or two prior, they had bought a condo. And so they were going to go to the condo and visit it for the first time, they were moved in and they were going to go visit. And she said, okay, well, we got to get ready for, this weekend. We're going to go, we're going to go check out our condo and have a good time and enjoy ourselves. And he said, condo? What condo? I said, well, we bought a condo 2 weeks ago. And he said, we bought a condo? This was a cardiologist. He forgot that he bought a condo. He was overdosing himself on Lipitor. So I talked to him about it, and he got off it and corrected his issue. I had another guy, he was a vice president of a big company, and he got the executive profile, that all the big executives get, and his cholesterol was like 220. It wasn't even anything to write home about. And they put him on some kind of statin medication, and he had terrible leg pains. It took me 3 months to recover him. It can cause leg cramping, lots of problems. So cholesterol is not bad, okay? If you have a cholesterol of 400 or something like that, I think there's probably maybe 2 or 3 patients in the 25 years that I've been in practice where they actually needed something like this. And we had to just supplement them to help support their body's ability to handle the cholesterol medication. It was just, one of those things. It was like 450, and anything we did, they're eating perfect, they're taking this, taking that, red rice yeast I give fish oil and blah, 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 and it just didn't work. But 99.5% of the time, you clean up the diet, get them on the right supplements, and it normalizes, okay? All right. So I covered most of the information that I wanted to cover tonight. Does anyone have any questions? Questions, comments? What time is it? I don't even have a watch.
7:32.
Okay, so let me just kind of wrap up a little bit, but I'll give you a little more information here that'll be helpful. I'll just give you a few case histories of certain patients that I've worked with that might have certain hormonal issues. The biggest one is I probably have 80% of my patients are female, in all honesty, and they're probably over 40 years of age. Because females are usually you're the smart ones. You guys want to take care of yourself and be proactive. The guy is usually the one that, the wife is saying, get in there, and then they just want to be patched up and move on. They're not all like that, but that's just kind of how guys are. But women, they tend to be just more proactive and disciplined with their health. So, give you an example of a patient. So I have a patient, she's probably 65 years old. She came in with really bad ringing in the ears, headaches, and insomnia. And when I did some testing on her, I found that she had heavy metal toxicity. And heavy metal toxicity can be something that can affect tinnitus or ringing in the ears, because it's almost like you're an antenna. And we're exposed to a lot of electromagnetic frequencies and computers and whatnot, and cell phones, cell towers, etc. So those EMFs can really create problems for patients, especially if you have heavy metals in your brain. So she had all those symptoms, and also she had pretty bad fatigue. So we got her on a program, got her off some of the sugar, and she did a pretty good job initially, but she was still eating some sugar. They were retired and they traveled a lot, but she took her supplements, and her husband was really on her about it. He's actually more disciplined than she is, which is funny. But he's a patient too, and he just had some minor issues that got resolved pretty quickly. But I've been working with her for about 1.5 years now, and the energy level is not an issue. Her sleep is way better. She would be up at night with the ringing. It was just so bad that she just had a hard time even sleeping, and she was just cussing at the world and that type of thing. It was just really a difficult situation for her. So that happens maybe once a month now, and she says she has good nights and bad nights. But I talked to the husband when she was in the bathroom one time. I said, she is so much better. She's probably like 75% better. Don't let her tell you otherwise. Okay, she was really bad. Because when you're going through that, sometimes when you have slow incremental changes in a health issue, you don't really notice it. It's kind of like you boil some water, you throw a frog in, it jumps out, but right, you put the frog in tepid water and you turn the burner on, and unfortunately you boil the frog because the frog doesn't realize the change in temperature, right? So that's how healing can be. It can be slow and steady wins the race. Another patient with hot flashes and weight issues, and she had high blood pressure. She had pretty stubborn high blood pressure. It was about 180 over 100 initially, and she didn't want to be on blood pressure medication. So she started losing weight. I got her on some certain supplements to support the kidneys because her kidneys were a major organ. It was not functioning like it should on my testing. And I'm going to show you how I do some testing too. We got her on those supplements. So it was hot flashes. And what's interesting is hot flashes are often a thyroid or a kidney issue.
I never had them.
Good, good.
Did you ever have them?
Nope.
No. So it's either a thyroid or a kidney in many respects. And so we started supporting her thyroid, and then her hot flashes got better. She had some stubborn weight loss. We had to get her thyroid going for about a month or two. She was eating much better. She had some sugar cravings, but we were getting those under control. And after about 6 weeks, she started to lose some weight. But she was frustrated initially because she was eating really, really well. And I said, you got to stick with it. Your body's healing. It just needs some time. And so now she's like 30 pounds lighter. It's been about 6 months, and she really doesn't have any health issues. She's just on a program. She's with me once a month, and we just need more time for her to lose some weight. So it's just a process. It's just a process. So let me wrap up by showing you how we do some of this testing. Okay? Can I use you as a guinea pig?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to have you just come and stand right here. All right, awesome. So we use what is called kinesiology or muscle testing. And have you ever had muscle testing done before? Okay. Have you? You have. Okay. You look like your sister now. You're close. All right. So what we do is we measure the resistance of a muscle. Okay. And this is something that it's an art and a science. Muscle testing needs to be done correctly. I taught this for 5 years to lots of different healthcare practitioners, and I've been doing it for 25 years, and it's not as easy as it looks. So I'm going to have you just match my pressure as I push. So you push up as hard as I'm pushing down. Good. I'm going to push a little harder. Match my pressure. See how we meet each other in the middle? Okay. So we can match each other lightly like this, or I can really lean into it, right? And I can also say, match my pressure and just wrestle you down, right? But this is not a strength test. This is a neurological test. We're just feeling the neurological integrity of the muscle. That's the 25-cent description of how this works, okay? We're basically seeing, does this muscle lock in place? Is it immobile? Yes. You're not moving, I'm not moving. We're putting equal and opposite pressure. Good. So then what we do is we put pressure on an organ, okay? So for example, we'll test your heart, okay? I'll just put some pressure over the heart. You have a lot of blood supply and nerve supply over the heart, and we're going to see if that heart is weak or strong. Match my pressure. And it's strong. There's no change. You feel the arms real strong? Okay. So now I'm going to check your thyroid. Your thyroid's right here. So I'm going to pinch the thyroid, match my pressure, match my pressure. Feel that's going shaky?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to do it this way just so the camera can see. Match my pressure. I can use any arm. That arm's strong too. Match me as I push, and that just doesn't hold. You're trying,
Yeah.
you're muscling it, but it's just not working. So then we identified, all right, we have this organ that's an issue, and we do this through the whole body, okay? So for example, we'll check the brain, and we'll do the muscle testing, and we'll check the kidneys, the adrenals, the intestines, the liver, the spleen, the pancreas. We go through every organ, and then we determine what nutritional deficiencies are going on. And what we'll do is we'll take a bottle in glass, of certain nutrients. I have a bunch of test files of lots of different supplements. And I'll pick a supplement that commonly helps the thyroid. And if I place that right next to it, so I didn't bring one, but let's just say this is a bottle of thyroid super duper great supplement, okay? So we'll put it right next to there while I'm squeezing. If the body likes this, now we'll get a strength instead of a weakness. If the body doesn't like this product, then it'll grab something else. Nope, that doesn't help. Nope, that doesn't help. Oh, that one helps. Okay, so that's how we determine this. And the body is energetic. It's vibrational. It has frequencies to it. And whole food supplements, the ones that we use, have a lot of vibrational frequency and life force energy to them. And when they're in a glass jar, that energy transfers very easily through glass. So we can put it close to the body and get a result on a change in that strength of the muscle to figure out which supplement someone needs and which doesn't work. Okay. You can also taste the supplement, put it in the mouth, and we can get the same effect. So thank you.
Sure.
So that's how that works. So we also do a chiropractic evaluation too. The spine, your spine houses your nervous system. So here's some vertebra. In between the vertebra are discs that are like shock absorbers. And each vertebra has wings. Oops. And then there are nerves that come out of the spinal cord. Called these nerve roots. And they branch out and they plug into all organs of the body, like a kidney. I'm trying to draw a heart sideways and it's not working here. The heart, maybe someone's hand, right? So the nervous system is the master control system of the body. It covers and controls everything. So when you have a bone out of place, so the vertebra come together like this. There's a disc there, but there's also like a half hole here and a half hole on top, and that's where the nerve root comes out. So if these vertebrae are out of alignment, they're going to press on that nerve and cause irritation. And all it takes is about the weight of a dime, a 10-cent dime, to create pain and tingling. That's all the pressure it takes on a nerve. So in chiropractic, what we do is we find those nerve irritations and we make adjustments, gentle adjustments to relieve that irritation. And it's not unusual for someone to get a chiropractic adjustment and feel a result right away, just feel a relief or relaxed or less pain. So that's the other component. So we do the nutritional component with the structural chiropractic component. We also, so I'm going to erase this, we also look at the emotional component. We call it the triad of health. So you have the structural part, you have the chemical nutritional part, and you have the mental emotional part. And we have a technique called neuro-emotional technique, where we can determine if maybe someone's back issue could have an emotional component to it. We can determine that through muscle testing. Or if someone just has a lot of stress in their life, they're dealing with a divorce or the loss of a loved one or something like that, we can help them with that, with certain methods. Neuro-emotional technique is the main one that we use. So,
and what is that exactly?
So neuro-emotional technique, what we're doing in that, and it was developed by a chiropractor, we are proposing to the body certain statements. and seeing how the body responds to the statements. And it's all based on the acupuncture system as well. So in the acupuncture system, you have acupuncture points, and they lie along these pathways that are called meridians. And each of these pathways is called an organ. It's named after an organ. Like you have the lung meridian. So you have certain acupuncture points that lie along a pathway related to the lung. You have the spleen meridian, the heart meridian, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So each of those organs and meridians have certain emotions connected to them in Chinese medicine. So like the kidney is related to fear. The lungs related to grief. The heart, I don't remember what the heart one is. Liver is anger. The gallbladder is resentment. And there's varying degrees of those emotions. So we propose those emotions while we're muscle testing, and we can see which emotions are problematic. Okay? And we access it through the acupuncture system and all the acupuncture points. So, yeah.
So you do acupuncture?
I don't do acupuncture. We'll do
Acupressure.
acupressure.
Yeah.
We'll use that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, our clinic, Chagrin Natural Health Clinic, is basically a one-stop shop. I mean, we treat most health conditions naturally. If it's an acute situation, you know, you're in a serious car accident, someone needs to save your life, don't come to me, you know, go to the ER and get your life saved. But as soon as that your life is saved, get out of the hospital, you know, then come and see me and I'll help recover you even more. Yeah, I just tell patients, if you have a health issue, run it by me first. There's often a simple solution that you might not think of, you know. So, you know, we help chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, thyroid issues, asthma, allergies, hot flashes, hormonal imbalances. I had 7 patients in 2025, females that started with me, got on a good health program, got pregnant, had healthy babies, vaginal births, a lot of them home births, non-vaccinated, all breastfed, no problems, no postpartum depression, just really healthy babies. It was really fun. It's really fun to work with a mom like that, you know, just gets it and wants to eat well and wants to start right from the beginning. As opposed to someone, oh, I can't get pregnant. Can you get me pregnant in 2 visits? If not, sorry. So I always say, yeah, in 2025, I got 7 women pregnant. One time I said that when I was teaching, and I didn't realize I said it, and everyone's laughing. I'm like, what? Oh, right? Yeah. So anyways, I supported pregnant women, 7 of them, yeah. So anyways, that's my story. If there aren't any other questions, it's really kind of a special situation because I'm offering a free full evaluation. Normally it's $3.99, usually it's $2.29 if you're referred. And it's actually a mistake. When I put the flyer out in the promo, I forgot to change it because I usually don't do this anymore, but this month I'm going to be doing free evaluation. So if you're interested in scheduling, we can do that, you know, tonight. And let me tell you what it includes. I mean, you're already patients, you already know this, but.
Yeah, but I didn't do the emotional one. I don't remember.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be like a visit, you know what I mean? Like you go through a visit, it's
not part of the initial assessment?
No, it's not,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it would be, if I felt it was necessary, I would say, okay, as part of the treatment plan, we should do this, okay? In all of our visits, we have like we have a nutritional visit, we have a chiropractic visit, and we have, if you did the neuroemotional technique, they're all $88 if you pay individually, but we have prepaid programs that bring that down sizably, okay? So the initial evaluation, I would do the full body scan. I'd be checking for heavy metals, chemicals, immune issues, food sensitivities, you name it, okay? I have every vial that we need to test, you know, and by placing these little vials that have different heavy metals and chemicals, we can easily determine if they're affecting you or not. then figure out what nutritional deficiencies you have and toxicities. And then I would do a chiropractic evaluation and see what misalignments and what muscles are off and hypertonic and all that good stuff. And then I would type up a report of findings, which includes everything that I found and a treatment plan. So it takes a little time to fill out the paperwork. You spend a good half hour